Hi, this is Cheryl Gallant, your Conservative Member of Parliament for the locked and loaded riding of Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke. Last week, the Minister of Public Safety revealed the NDP Liberal plan for their massive property confiscation. Take a look.
Talking about phase one of the buyback program is to go look for those prohibited firearms, assault-style weapons that are in shops like Cabela's, shops that have those weapons. This process has already begun. The RCMP has pilot projects, tests have been done. The government has recovered some weapons already that are in the inventory of the retailers, and some rifles were destroyed. I saw the photograph of the first one that was destroyed after phase one. You are right. Phase two is when we will go to the homes of individuals, and Sûreté du Québec and the police will help us. We will go look for those guns. They will be...
When I first shared a picture with this quote on social media, the Liberal trolls online claimed I had made up the quote. One Liberal even claimed the minister would never say anything so ridiculous and incendiary. After sharing the video with them, he deleted his defamatory post. Trudeau's online cult, often called TrueAnon by journalists subjected to TrueAnon's abuse, knew that what the minister said was horrific. Yet somehow, no one in the legacy media has bothered to report what the minister said. That's because outlets such as the far-left Canadian press act as stenographers for the powerful anti-firearm owner lobby. They repeat government propaganda lines without the usual qualifications or scare quotes applied to things the legacy media opposes. Now, after what the minister said, any legacy media outlet still calling the looming property seizures a so-called buyback are clearly trying to re-elect the Liberals to save their subsidies. The term buyback was always an Orwellian term that was intended to mislead Canadians. Buyback suggests that you don't own your property, you just borrowed it from the government temporarily and at the government's pleasure. When the average citizen hears the term buyback, they picture some kind of depot where owners can drop off the property the government has newly prohibited and are issued a check for the market value of the property and issued a receipt. The average non-firearms owner probably thinks it would be something like a municipal bottle drive, except that's not the Liberal plan.
You are right. Phase two is when we will go to the homes of individuals, and Sûreté du Québec and the police will help us. We will go look for those guns.
When police come to your door and demand you hand over your property, that is a confiscation. That is an expropriation. The powerful anti-firearm owner lobby and their media allies do not want Canadians to hear the quote from Trudeau's childhood babysitter. That's because we're not supposed to be living in a police state. I mean that both literally and figuratively. The police showing up at your home to take property the Liberals don't like sure looks like a police state tactic. The idea of police going door to door, confiscating legally acquired property is not the kind of Canada most of us want to live in. That's what I mean by figuratively. Literally speaking, Canada is not a police state because Canada only has 77,000 police officers for a country with a population of 40 million. That means there is just one police officer for every 520 Canadians. Now, the Liberals want to take our overworked police and redeploy them to go and search the homes of each and every one of the 2.5 million licensed firearms owners. It doesn't matter that the majority of licensed lawful firearms owners do not own any of the scary-looking firearms the government has banned. The Liberals banned so many rifles which had previously been unrestricted that there is no way for them to know who has the legally owned firearms and who does not. All the Liberals know is that they are owned by licensed and lawful firearms owners who, by definition, have not committed any crimes. So the Liberals will have no choice but to send the police to search the homes of all 2.3 million lawful firearms owners. With just 77,000 police in Canada, this presents a problem. Not all of them are even frontline officers. According to the Ottawa Police 2023 annual report, just 42% of the Ottawa police force are frontline officers. That means Canada probably has around 32,000 frontline officers. Except the number of officers isn't the limiting factor. That would be the number of police vehicles. For the City of Ottawa's approximately 900 frontline officers, there are only about 250 police vehicles. Now, if that ratio were applied nationwide, Canada has about 10,000 frontline police vehicles. Let's say Trudeau, knowing how unpopular he is, decides to go full kamikaze. If Trudeau were to commandeer every police cruiser in Canada, each and every single police vehicle will have to visit an average of 230 homes. Now, if you assume each search takes an hour, including commute time and paperwork, it would take 10 days, going 24 hours a day, to complete the searches. So for 10 days, every 911 call would go unanswered. Now, obviously, the mayors and premiers would never agree to this. Many have already said they absolutely refuse to allow any of their police officers to work on Trudeau's great property reset. Most of the frontline RCMP are actually on provincial contract. That just leaves a really small number of RCMP the federal government has at its disposal. All of those officers are currently working on federal investigations such as international drug smuggling, money laundering, and terrorism. Considering the number of terrorists that have been arrested in the last year alone, any police being redirected to round up the personal property of law-abiding citizens would leave Canadians less safe. Basically, the only police left in Canada that are currently not investigating crime would be the Prime Minister's protective detail. I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest Trudeau probably doesn't want to give them up. So, Canada, not being a police state, presents a challenge for Liberals who think they can snap their fingers and send the police out to search the homes of 2.3 million Canadians. The premiers, mayors, and even the police don't support Trudeau's plan to seize people's property. Yet, just because what the Minister of Public Safety said is ridiculously stupid, it doesn't make it less alarming. It reveals the mindset of Liberals who wish they did live in a police state where a minister could dispatch the police to search your home. It's the kind of police state Trudeau said he admires most in the world. One final note to any licensed firearms owners: you must obey the Firearms Act. And when Trudeau's babysitter starts talking about sending police to search your home, it's a good idea to review it, especially Section 26.1 and 26.2. Quote, 26.1, a person may transfer a prohibited firearm or a restricted firearm to Her Majesty in right of Canada or a province, to a police force, or to a municipality if the person informs the registrar of the transfer and complies with the prescribed conditions. 2, A person may transfer a prohibited weapon, restricted weapon, prohibited device, ammunition, or prohibited ammunition to Her Majesty in right of Canada or a province, to a police force or to a municipality if the person informs a chief firearms officer of the transfer and complies with the prescribed conditions, end quote. So if Trudeau shows up at your home with his bodyguards and asks you to give him your firearms, tell him you would be happy to comply once you receive permission from the chief firearms officer. How soon you get your permission really depends on Canada Post, though. If Justin Trudeau really does plan to waste police time searching the homes of 2.3 million Canadians, then he needs to tell us which crimes the police will ignore. Statistics Canada reported yesterday that since Trudeau was elected, violent crime is up 50%. This is all the fault of Justin Trudeau. 10 years ago, when Canada last had a common sense government, far-left activists and academics were fighting to eliminate mandatory minimum sentences. These radical Marxists claim that mandatory minimums don't reduce crime. They claimed that the mandatory minimum sentences were unnecessary because the crime rate was going down. Well, they got their wish. The courts repealed the mandatory minimum. Trudeau was elected and immediately made it easier to get out on bail. Then crime went up. And after 30 years of crime going down, it suddenly reversed course and started going up. Just like every liberal economic policy is designed to increase prices, every liberal social policy seems designed to increase crime and chaos. Only common sense conservatives will stop the crime. Live from Ottawa, this is Cheryl Gallant.